It's your girl Danielle here representing the Action Army, representing Call to Action here tonight with a semi-new segment called Chill to Action, where we hang out every night on the channel on the Call to Action podcast. I am here with my wonderful moderator, Mr. Paul Denuzio.
It's me. You know me. I know you. You love me. It's all good. We love each other.
Yeah, I'm here with my awesome co-host for tonight, Mr. Dylan Camacho.
Hey guys, how's it going? You know me, you love me. I'm gonna get the Schmodown Nashville hashtag out of the way. I'm trying to be a little bit more chill tonight. Check out all of our great content coming up. Schmodown Nashville, you know it, you love it. Frank loves it too.
Hashtag Schmodown Nashville, absolutely 100%. And we're here to welcome our awesome guest for tonight, Mr. Stats, Mr. Frankie Numbers, Mr. Frank Janischch.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me. It's we'll see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, thank you all for hanging out tonight with us on Chill to Action. We really appreciate it. So we're here to get things started. We're here to talk to Mr. Frankie Numbers tonight.
Yeah, that's catching on a little bit.
Awesome.
All right, Frank. So I guess I'll go ahead and just chime in first. So obviously we're getting used to the new chill format. I feel like I should be talking slower. But I'm going to go ahead and start. I think that we've got a lot of obviously common interest here in the Schmodown. So I feel obliged to sit here and ask right off the bat. We just got those team brackets a little while ago, fresh off the press.
Yeah.
Real good. Oh man, the right side on both of them are looking like either in singles or in teams are looking absurdly good. There it is. Hey.
Okay.
All right. So you already probably know where I'm going with this. Not even the full bracket. We're not going to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
What's your finals?
Can you pull up that bracket again real quick? Because I know let's see. I'm picking Who's the Boss, and I think I'm gonna go. Oh man, this is tough. It's between Shazam and Time Machine.
Ooh.
And I think I'm going to go Time Machine versus Who's the Boss, with Who's the Boss winning the tournament.
2-timing it, huh?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So what my first guess is to probably just make the assumption that you probably weigh their experience overhand. Because Ethan and Janine is just such a force to be reckoned with, and not to say that Riley and Ben isn't, but Riley also hasn't had the best season this year. So
no, he hasn't, but he plays really well though in a team setting. When you look at his career, I think his performances have been better when he's been alongside Ben or even Clark, and they're good. And Ben and Riley are two of the best first-round players in teams. It just has always been that way since they started. Riley's always been a good, even when they're not like Ben with Action and Riley with Wolves of Steel, always been very good in the first round. And that accounts for a lot in the team division, especially because that's a possible of 16 to 18 points maybe. And most matches end around 28 to 30 points these days. So if you're earning 2/3 of your points right there in the first round, I mean, it can mean a whole lot if you have two players like Ben and Riley who are just so good in the first round that it poses a lot of problems for a lot of different teams. Right.
That's a fair leap, man. I mean, I won't hold that against you. I definitely see Time Machine taking on the left side. I think that I can't wait to see another Looney Bin match because Tom's debut was so, not to say that Video Drew isn't great as well, but I mean, she's even been the first one to say off screen and on screen. She was like, holy shit, Tom knows movies. Like,
yeah, it's very interesting to like find out during the course of the match, like, what? You know wow, okay. I thought we were on here to like goof off, but you know stuff. Okay. Yeah, that's funny.
That would be like
an amazing first showing.
Right. If like Zipper showed up in his first Loose Cannons match and he's like, yeah, this is Oyama's first match. We'll see how it goes.
right.
Pretty much.
He's like, dude, you only missed one question.
Right.
Like, all right, cool.
Now, since you have Who's the Boss winning, we're gonna forecast a little bit here. I want to get your thoughts on. Let's say Founding Fathers beat corruption for the titles. Who's the boss wins the tournament. Who's the boss versus Founding Fathers at Spectacular? The Horsemen explode. What would your take be on that?
If it explodes because they meet in the finals,
Yes.
First I would say I don't think that would happen. But let's say it did. I think it would kind of make sense. There's a lot of things that would have to go into that because there's right now corruption has that stipulation with Founding Fathers that if they lose they break up. I think first of all I just really don't think that would happen if they met at Spectacular. That would ultimately blow up the faction. I just think it would nice to have some sort of tension between them to kind of make it more of a high stakes matchup at Spectacular, because if you don't have any tension between the two groups, the two teams, then it's kind of just a very good feel kind of match, a very, what's the word? Fair and sportsman-like match. And that's great and all, but we want like the drama. We want the antics.
The word you're looking for is boring, Frank. It's
it would. I think the play would be really great, but like outside of that, there's really nothing that would hype me up for it. I'd be like, this is gonna be a great match for sure, but like, what? Okay, one's gonna win, one's gonna lose, and then that's it. There's no really true fallout for that. I mean, you could develop something down the line, but it would be a great matchup for sure. That's all I can really say about it.
That's what I'm saying is going to happen at some point.
Keep that up as long as possible.
In the chat, we actually have a question already from, if I can find it here, from AJ Lancaster.
Merrill said mob name would be Danny Nimbus.
Wow. Okay. Part of the Nimbus family. Okay.
Do you accept him in the family that way? Is that good?
Well, he's going to have to make me an offer I can't refuse, I think.
You might be able to.
Yeah.
Frank, how do you feel about this stipulation match in Orlando?
Mm-hmm.
Corruption against Founding Fathers.
I hope there's another one down the line that's for corruption. Maybe not as impactful, obviously, as breaking up corruption. I'm not asking for that, but maybe somewhere there should be another stipulation, I think, that corruption would have to adhere to if Founding Fathers did beat them. I think that would only seem a little fair, just because it's already, the matchup is fair whether you like it or not. I mean, Dan Merrill won the shot, he won it, and so that's the rules, and he's using it to face corruption, and it just so happens to be for the third time. They played twice already. That's not Dan's fault. That's just kind of how it shaped out. So I understand corruption wanting a stipulation in terms of, well, if we beat them for a third time, then they should break up. I get that. But if you're going to have stipulation from one team, then there should be another one, maybe not as equally as destructive, but something should be given to corruption if they were to lose.
My idea for that would be them breaking up.
Break up corruption?
Break up corruption.
Just a complete,
bring Mikey Bates back.
It's a breakup match no matter what. No matter what.
Yes, no matter what. Just break it up.
Team is breaking up.
Bring Mikey Bates back. That's all I want.
I like that.
That'd be so spicy. Let's be spicy. I think it's funny though that like these triple rematches has become like a thing, and again, corruption trying to take Action's gig where like Action and Top 10 had their like stipulation match by the time it was all said and done, and now we got this triple threat or this third rematch, and it's just, well, throw a stipulation on it. Why not?
Yeah, I think it definitely does add. It's some more flavor to the matches, but I think I would like to see something a little bit more unique because we've done the breakup matches, we've done the that kind of thing already, which is fine. But if you're gonna, like I said, give that to Founding Fathers, then give me something spicy for corruption.
Corruption is not allowed to wear any sunglasses for the whole duration.
or they can't wear black. They can't wear leather jackets. They have to wear all white.
Yeah.
All white.
Oh yeah. That would be. Oh man, that's the thing though. They would just do like the inverse colors. They would just be an all white with like black accents or something like that. It's not fair to like love or hate Mike. Like he's just a handsome dude. Whatever. He's gonna look good in anything he puts on.
Son of a bitch.
That bastard. Also, shout out to my commissioner for my fantasy league, Doug in the house. What's up, Doug?
Doug, all right, nice.
Hey.
Nice to
Hi,
hear.
Doug.
How am I doing in there, Doug? Give me my numbers. Do Frank's job for us in the league. Where's my spot right now? I was doing poorly, and then Oyama started cleaning up, and then I've been racking up points on Oyama. So, I'm glad to talk about him at any given point right now.
Are you guys a part of any other fantasy leagues in the Schmodown? I'm not. Are you guys?
I have two myself. They're both action related. There was an old one I did the last year from Action Army. And then there's an AMA one, which is Ben and Drew's show. And I'm cleaning up both right now. Sorry, Nat. Sorry, James. I'm on top of this guy. Now, the Action Generals one in fantasy football, I'm shitting the bed in. But that's another tale. But speaking of football,
Yeah.
we got Frank and I have to speak a little bit on football because we had a very good game. Well, I shouldn't know if it's a good game. It's a good outcome.
Yeah. It was the Bear. I mean, look, I found out. Here. I'll do my Chicago accent for.
There we go.
So today the Bears they played the Denver Broncos, and I think it was. What was it? 13-14 at the end of the game, and then these Bears, this Mitchell Trubisky guy, we call him the Biscuit. He throws a pass to the middle of the field, and it gets them within field goal range. Now, last year we had a guy do the double doink, and it cost us our whole season. But this guy, Eddie Pinero, whatever his last name is, he comes in there and hits a 53-yard field goal for the win.
Oh my God.
I nearly had a heart attack.
That's an even Baker's dozen.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Boy.
Thank you, Frank
There it is.
Janisch.
And you know what? I'll say this Chicago accent isn't really prevalent as thick like that. I do have a friend though, and he told me he's like, I had this. His name is Uncle Mike. And it's like my Uncle Mike. He has a pretty heavy like Chicago accent. Like it was like. Really? He's like exactly like the super fans from SNL skit. And I was like, I don't believe it. Maybe it's not as exaggerated. So I ended up meeting this Uncle Mike. And let me tell you, I mean, he had like the whole mustache and everything. And he was just like, yeah, how you doing there, Tom? Is Aunt Betty coming around today? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to take 2 of these beers and bring it up to Grandpa Joe. And it was just like, I was like, holy shit. He actually talks like that. Like, I've never met anyone in Chicago who actually talks like the super fans from the SNL skit. It literally blew my mind. But once in a while, you hear the even when I talk, even when I listen to myself back on the rundown, sometimes I can hear me say certain words. I'm like, oh man, I was like, and one time I just was going to the store and you hear like it's just I don't know, it's really weird. As I got older, the accent, I think, as I more ventured out into the city and wasn't more around the city and going out a lot more, I kind of do develop that accent in certain little small ways. So it's kind of funny to hear every once in a while yourself say it, and you're like, wow, that was very Chicago. Because I don't think I have an accent, but when I go visit places, they go, you kind of have an accent. I was like, really?
You totally do.
Yeah. It's definitely a tweak there. You get the ending.
I've realized for me, it's one of those things where, like, because I grew up in Seattle area for, like, the first chunk of my life, first 50%, like 14 years onward. And then the next, like, 15 years afterwards, I was a Kentucky boy. So, drastic leap in accent.
Wow,
I know, like, total culture shock. But it was a thing where I noticed there's, like, words that I use that are Kentucky words that I'm not actually sure are words at all. Like, if I'm referring to male, female, just like a random stranger, I'm like, hey, Bull. Like, Bull, B-O-L? That's like a southern word. Yeah. And Bo, what are you doing over there? What are you doing? And it's just like you just mumble through a lot of it. And I think that starts to go south into like the NOLA region where there's not really pronunciations. It's just sound.
Right.
So it makes me just wonder, are there any like Chicago words and that come to mind? Or you're like, oh yeah, if I say this word, it's Chicago all the way out.
Yeah.
I live in South Texas, and there's a lot of Tex-Mex over here, so there's a lot of a mix of that. I don't think I have a Texan accent, but I do say y'all. Y'all is definitely words that I use.
Like,
yes, definitely a y'all. A y'aller is what I am.
I say y'all up here. I say y'all.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's just
I
easier.
know that Yeah, like I know that y'all isn't just a Texas thing, but I know for a while growing up, whenever I would travel to places and I would say y'all, they would know that it was a Texas thing. So,
Right.
but it's weird. But this Texan did get to experience some New York pizza, and I've never had Chicago pizza.
Ooh,
so
much better. It's much better.
Chicago pizza is better than New York.
New York,
pizza.
yeah. We actually we take.
There you go. There it is.
That's very good.
That's the GIF.
I mean, we love pizza so much here. We have tons of different kinds of pizza. That's how much we love pizza here. So,
I
actually,
don't see myself being a fan of deep dish pizza.
Isn't that like closer to lasagna than pizza, really?
no, it's pizza, Paul. It's just it's a twist on a pizza, you know. Like you wrap a burger in bacon. Like it's still a burger. It's just a different variation. So like you know.
I'm totally with Frank on this one. I've never had New York pizza, so it's completely 100% biased. But I've had Chicago pizza several times. I travel to Chicago about once a year for just fucking random reasons, honestly. Sometimes Schmodown. And it's the times where me and my wife will sit there and be like, no, there's a couple places that like we have to go for pizza.
Yeah.
There are very few places I travel more than 5 hours for food, and Chicago is one.
I mean, we have a lot of great food here, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
What are some places that you had to visit in Chicago for pizza?
For pizza, well,
You
at
don't
least
know
where I grew up, there was this place called Waldo Cooney's. I actually worked there in high school. It was like my first job. Actually, no, the first place I worked was another pizza place, actually. I worked at 2 pizza places in high school. Those were my first jobs. Vito Nick's and Waldo Cooney's. They were literally like right down the street from each other. And then, but other places, I mean, like you hear about Giordano's and Lou Malnati's. They got really good pizza. But there's other smaller places like Falco's or there's just a bunch of different places, depending where you live, like a Rosati's even. I like Rosati's. So just depending where you live, you know, you're probably not that far away from some pretty good pizza, but there are some that I prefer more than others. And once in a while, you just want some Papa John's. Once in a while.
You guys love it every once in a while.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, every once in a great while, I have to do the Pizza Hut stuffed crust. That's just
God. Something about that, like that stuffed crust cheese, though. Like, it's a nostalgia cheese, man. It sends you back to whatever age that you first had it on.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Not a lot of people do that, but stuffed crust Pizza Hut, when done right,
is oh god, so good, so good.
I'll tell you though, the worst pizza ever, like fast food wise, is Little Caesars. Absolute cardboard garbage. It is garbage.
It is
over here.
Agree.
It is absolute garbage. Oh my god! And I think like my sister gets it like for her kids when we have like family parties. They get the Little Caesars, and we have like the good stuff.
That's like where back when I was running up the party room in college, we'd get like the good liquor and the good beer, and then the natty ice would be for the freshmen.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's the way to do it.
You gotta do it that way.
So, quick question for everyone here: pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
No.
Oh.
Get it
That's
out.
gonna be a big no for me, dog.
Right.
No, that's not pizza. Nothing.
It's a no for me, dog. I do not like sweet and savory stuff like that. I'm a weird picky eater in that sort of sense. So sweet with savory does not make me feel very good. But pineapple on pizza, Frank, you're in Hawaii recently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't even have pizza out there, so
No,
I did have pineapple. That's pretty good. Gotta say, some pretty good pineapple out there.
How's your trip to Hawaii? What was the most touristy thing you did while you were in Hawaii?
Most touristy thing was I probably go to Waikiki Beach was the most touristy thing we did.
Was it super packed?
Not really when we went there. No, not really. And I think another thing, it's not super touristy, but we did the Pearl Harbor. But that was just nice all the way around. So
Yeah.
Tim Franco with a hot cake right here. Pineapple's final.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that you're here.
Yeah, but it shouldn't happen. Like that's all.
It was an accident, and I'm convinced, and that's all we need to know about pineapple on pizza, is that nobody intentionally had to put that on there. Unless it was maybe in, like, Japan or something like that. Because Japan loves putting all sorts of wacky stuff on their pizza, like in their cream stuff. Cannot wait. I've got a Japan trip.
I'll tell you what's also good, though, on pizza, ground beef. Put some ground beef.
Beef's fine.
Yeah, I like some ground beef. Ground beef and onion. Ooh. There you go.
James said we're canceled, so sorry guys. That's the show.
We're not, James. We're not. The chat is.
never
We're not
canceled.
advocating for pineapple and pizza.
Literally everybody but Tim Franco, who is firstly special plug for Tim Franco, delightful guy. Met him when I was in Arizona while me and Matt went to go watch Godzilla. Talked to him for a little while. Real nice guy. I disagree with your opinion on pineapple on pizza, though. Sorry, buddy. Baked potato pizza. My wife fucks with that. Like,
Ooh,
she a thick girl. We go out of our way for that stuff, buddy.
that's something I would try.
Baked pizza? Oh, it's good. Like, I'll meet him halfway and say baked potato is pretty dope on pizza. Frank, what were you doing out in Hawaii anyway?
I was actually that's so funny you ask, actually. I was out for, my sister turned 30 and she wanted to take a trip out to Hawaii. So it was me, my 5 sisters, and another family friend. We all flew out to Hawaii, out there for like a week. And we went to Oahu and Maui, and it was a lot of fun. We did a lot of stuff out there, a lot of hiking and sightseeing and stuff like that. So it was and obviously being on the beaches out there, and oh man, I miss it a lot.
Schmodown Hawaii confirmed for 2020 then?
I hope so. That'd be great.
Oh boy, talk about expensive. And then you know what? I told myself I wasn't going to plug Schmodown Nashville too much this show. I'm not going to do it. You already know. Give me the hashtag in the chat. Just do it for me. But
There you go.
there we go. Boom. There we go.
I'd love to go to Nashville. That'd be a lot of fun.
Nashville is like, listen, I cannot say, I'll take a minute to talk about the announcement stuff, and I'll bring that into a question like a professional host. And that with Christian and Mark's announcement on like the Schmodown Network, essentially the unofficial Schmodown Network coming up with their title name coming, and they were mentioning on, I think they hit my super chat, and then he had said, yeah, we were, Mark Ellis is going on talking about how much he loves like Nashville and all the great reasons for it. And I'm just like, how the fuck has Mark Ellis been such a strong advocate for Schmodown Nashville and we don't have it? Like, what did I do to piss Christian off so bad that he's just not doing it out of spite? Because there's no way that half of the creative mind, and I give a lot of credit to Mark Ellis for being half, so for half of the creative mind to be like, love Schmodown, or I love Nashville. It's great. It's a great location. I have a lot of friends that go there, and then it doesn't happen. So I don't know. That's my rant.
I'll chime in here. If you watch Collider Live, and Christian doesn't want to watch the thing now because it's a bit. He knows Schmodown Nashville now is a bit. The more he ignores it, the more we're going to bump it.
It's a gift.
Yeah, you've really kind of you've turned it into something that works against you now rather than for you. And
listen, it was the only way. I had to make the Army to sit there and even get us on the board. Like, and so help me God. Like, if it ever happens, I probably would just retire from Schmodown at that point. I'm like, I'm done being a fan. I have too much power now, and I am not the person to have that. That's it. This is me bowing out. But speaking into the traveling bit for Nashville and stuff like that, and all this future Schmodown stuff coming up, I know with that network coming in that obviously they're getting some new shows announcing and stuff like that. What are some things that you would like to see from either Schmodown Network or maybe stuff you'd even like to host personally on that?
I don't know about anything I'd host personally. I mean, right now I started trying out to do more of a stat-centric type of show, I guess you could call it, on the Rundown Facebook page where I go live on Monday nights. I've done like 4 episodes where I kind of like just take a topic and kind of dive into the stats behind it, or at least I try to. So I'm just kind of just interested in kind of just ironing that out and kind of getting a format down and figuring out how to talk about stats in an interesting way that people will at least tune in for maybe like 20 minutes or so, which can be, I understand like talking about numbers isn't exactly the most entertaining thing. So I've been trying to figure out how to make it entertaining, but to make it entertaining, it also helps that there are some mind-blowing stats that people might not be aware of. And there's not that many mind-blowing stats that, that I can reference. So it's kind of a delicate balance I'm trying to find there. It's in terms of the actual network doing other shows. I think what they have laid out, I'm curious to see with the Christian and Brett show. There's a Smet show that's supposed to be happening. Obviously, Inside Schmodown with Roxy and Ken should be interesting. Now that there's 2 of them, as
Oh,
opposed.
that's gonna be
So
good.
yeah. So outside of that, I would love. I think there was a concept of, and I think Christian talked about it, where you would have like, he brought up Rachel Cushing and Mike Kalinowski. They go see a movie. Let's say it's the next whatever. Let's say they go see Thor, right?
Right.
And they come back and they kind of do like a spoiler talk, or they do like a Q&A on the movie with the super chat involved, and you can ask them what they thought of the movie. It's like an interactive spoiler discussion, which I think is really interesting, especially because the knowledge of those 2 and their takes on that type of medium, or at least the media that with like MCU stuff, right? What would be interesting to hear? I'd be interested to hear, because when I'm fortunate enough to go out to the studios or to the live match, I hear all these people, like whether it's Andreyko or Bibiani, Kalinowski or Ben Bateman, I hear always talking about film or this movie or that movie and their thoughts, and I'm like insanely fascinated just by their takes. They're always so well articulated, and a lot of them don't necessarily have that platform to speak on movies like that. Maybe they tweet out, here and there a thought on a movie, but it's not a discussion you hear from them. And I think it'd be interesting to bring more people in and give them that chance and see how the community reacts and how it responds on their takes. I think it'd be a lot of fun to have some sort of interactive spoiler discussion on movies that people are interested in.
Oh, I totally agree. I think having a couple of those big personalities on there, even just being either full kayfabe or not even being kayfabe at all, probably with Mike and Rachel, I could see him being very casual about it. But yeah, those would be something. Yeah, Dan Merle loves crunching numbers. Yeah, again, there's a couple of people who I think are super big onto the stats on that stuff. James even said, yeah, hosting a show with Hannah to discuss do stats and just doing practical application. I guess.
I don't know.
Nerds.
I don't know. I don't know if I could. I don't know if Hannah's head could fit inside this square space.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, let's shout out. Yeah, that's fine. Hannah doesn't ever watch our show. He's never in the chats, so it's fine.
Yeah, he's going to be in soon, but
I remember I saw one recently. Somebody had said in like the Facebook group not too long ago that they wanted to see a show with like belt holders and something like that, and they're eating, just talking about casual stuff, and the show's like segments called Champ's Lunch.
That would, I mean, would there be like some sort of trademark dispute with that? I feel like maybe.
Andrew Guy is the kind of guy who would literally probably be like, no, I'm suing. Like,
right. So that'd be pretty funny, I think. That'd be pretty great.
Oh, that'd be so good. That's so on the nose perfect. Like I'd watch that in a heartbeat, even if it was Mike Kalinowski on the first episode, which they would just do intentionally just to piss off like Andrew.
Oh, right. Yeah,
of course. Speaking of new shows and everything, why don't you tell us a little bit about your new show, The Cheat Sheet?
Yeah, like I said, I was talking like just about a minute ago about kind of having it more stat centric, because on the rundown, we've kind of gone away from kind of delving into the stats. It's still there here and there. I'll bring up like anecdotes like, he hasn't missed whatever X amount of round 2 questions in a while, whatever, and he finally missed one here, stuff like that. Or I'll bring up percentages in terms of like, he was like 1 question away from a perfect round or stuff like that. But it's never like super in depth, because we have a lot to cover a lot of these weeks now, especially tournament season. There's a lot of news dropping. There's a lot of, scheduling of like live events with like 2 throwdowns just came out of nowhere. Storylines to discuss. So, and stats to me isn't really like something that needs to be like part of like what anchors the show. It's more about kind of like it's becoming more of a debate show between me and Brad, where maybe we're not necessarily debating ourselves between one another, but more or less kind of just breaking down the match and having our different takes on it. Sure, and I think that's proven to be more fun for us at least, and hopefully that's why people still tune in when they do. But with the cheat sheet, I want to do something more with the number. I have like tons of information, and it's all very interesting to me, and that's why I actually started doing it and continue to do it, because it's definitely keeping track of the numbers is a labor of love, because there is no glory in any of this, and I would have to be insane to think that there was like, oh my god, people are going to love me because I can tell them that Josh Makuga has answered over 200 questions. He's only one of 3 people to do it, and blah, 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 so that's fun for me, but I know for like 80% of the people out there who watch the Schmodown, who consume Schmodown content, and it's not exactly entertaining. So the cheat sheet is supposed to be a space for that. So like, if the people are really into like the numbers and stuff, which I'm grateful for, that my work isn't all for naught, but that's not why I do it anyways, but it's still nice, for people to like it. So, and the other reason I kind of want to do it is just because I do the rundown once a week, and I just want to kind of better my own skills talking and running like a show, and I like, putting it all together and producing it and all that. So that's fun for me as well. And it's just more practice. And that's kind of really the impetus behind the cheat sheet. Figure out something with the stats, but also at the same time work on my own hosting skills or what have you, something like that.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Speaking of entertaining, though, I want to throw this one on the screen. How about that? What if Guy hosted Champs Lunch between two ferns style, eats and insults everybody the entire time? I think that would be
great. That would be great. I don't know if competitors could handle it, honestly. I don't know. I don't think they could.
In the day of age of Oyama controversies all the time, I think it would be a little too much. Like they just go, why does Oyama get to barely say anything and we hate him, but Andrew Guy is telling me to go fuck myself every day? And he gets a whole show for it. Like,
here's a good question: is Guy on your Mount Rushmore? I think he should be for character work.
Yeah, he's the greatest heel of all time, but he's nowhere near in terms of player. No, even he knows that. But
well, that's the question I have actually in a way, is because if the Schmodown is a trivia-based game and a WWE-style wrestling personality type game, isn't a Mount Rushmore? Shouldn't a Mount Rushmore have both sides of that on there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think. Sure, I think. Mount Rushmore is I guess.
It's so subjective, though, right? Like, it's going to be subject, like how people even look at it. If it's just the competitiveness, like how they are as a competitor, or how they are as a character. Like,
I think in the end, like, knowledge trumps everything, even character work, because otherwise Rachel Cushing's not even on Mount Rushmore, and it just feels wrong to not have a player like that, not to be part of the discussion or even on Mount Rushmore. Because if it's all based on character work, I mean, she was herself. I mean, she had that small little run when she's part of like Five Club and that the heel turn with Ken. Like, she had that small little run of storyline stuff where she was kind of playing a character, but she was still herself. And if we want to talk about just, you have to have, not a lot of people really in the league have the knowledge and the character work. Like, Mike is really, honestly, the only guy who has all of that. And I think, there's plenty of great characters like Andrew Guy, who's pretty decent at trivia, but he's not on Mike's level in an all-around capacity, overall capacity. You have other people obviously like Dagnino, Robert Meyer Burnett, and even Bibiani to an extent, with more of his face character stuff is a lot more fun. Or even, like Ben Bateman, right? I think he's actually kind of close to one of those all-around type of players. I mean, he doesn't play in Inner Geekdom, so that gives him like a tinge of a hit on him, but I don't really count it too much against him. So I think when you look at Mount Rushmore like that, if you want all-encompassing players that embody both facets of the game, that's a very small list. And when you look at it, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you, just because the knowledge part just wouldn't make sense, because the game, that's the game. So yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's fair though to go to I look at, do they have the knowledge, and then what separates them? If the knowledge parts are so close together between player A and player B, then I go, well, does this person have a better character, or do I this one? And then that's how I would kind of like rationalize how I would get to the point of who's on my Mount Rushmore. Maybe a little too methodical for people, but that's how I approach it.
Too methodical for the guy who keeps up with stats on the whole Schmodown.
Yeah, I know. And here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. In school, I was horrible at math. I got like D's and C's. But luckily, like you put stuff in a spreadsheet, they do the work for you.
Right.
You know, so and all it is that I do is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. After that, that's all I need to know. I didn't need to know any higher types of math. And
This is true. I've tried to ask you big brain questions before, and you were like, Dylan, I just put numbers into a spreadsheet. Don't talk to me about it.
Yeah.
I think it was the time where I was trying to quantify like what the exact perfect way to create a special survey was. And then granted, like my undergrad degree was in sociology, so like stats and stuff, I'm like, I fuck with that. Like, all right.
Yeah.
But also like proofreading how you actually make it legit. Because anybody can make a graph and make it look totally skewed or do a survey a certain way and make it totally skew one way or the other. But trying to make it totally fair, totally lost on like 95% of the people in there. They just want to say, my city gets a Schmodown. That's all they want to say in the poll or something like that, which is fair. I'm not saying I'm really any different in that. Danny, welcome back.
Hi. Technical difficulties as usual. Every episode.
It wouldn't be a Danny episode without it. Sorry, coming in with the great question though. Ethan Irwin is one of the greatest all-time greats, or just a great player.
I would say he's a great player. He's a great player, but he's not an all-time great. Like,
I don't think
not yet. I mean, I fully expect him to be an all-time great in like after like 2 more years, and you just got to put. Well, that sounds like a personal problem, Brandon. I think eventually he's gonna get there. I just can't award someone all-time great after a year and a half. Barely a year and a half. He's only played 3 matches this year.
Right.
So, and he's actually only played like altogether, I think 10, 11, 12 matches altogether, maybe 13. Like
wow.
And a lot of that is in singles. He has he's 7-2, 7-3?
Yeah.
So
3.
He's still got a ways to go in terms of all-time great. Like he's got to play in teams, and he's got to build up a resume in teams before I can even say he's an all-time great. That's why, I mean, there's certain special circumstances like Dan Murrell. You know, he didn't really compete consistently in teams until this past year, or with Founding Fathers at least, right? So, and even then, not that great. So, I mean, he's played great for a majority of the time, but they just haven't pulled out. I mean, obviously, corruption's really holding them back at this point.
Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is, I've noticed about like Schmodown competitors' presence, so to speak. I don't really know how to validate it because this isn't very much like a statistics or something you can just grind out. It's so much on a feeling. Like if you were to tell me, all right, if you have to play against Paul Oyama or Ethan Irwin, who are you wanting to pick? Like knowing full well I'm going to lose to either no matter what. But I'm going to pick Paul. Like Ethan Irwin's a scary motherfucker. Like he's got so much presence in him. And I always try to figure out. I'm like, okay, how does Ethan Irwin have this presence? But then like Paul, who's 6-0, undefeated, beat the belt or got the belt, defended the belt, and did this. And other than the fact that I'm just like, well, the fact that I'm like 8 years older than Paul, I'm always going to be like, 22, fuck you. Like,
right? Yeah.
But even with like characters who are like of age or older, I'm like, like whatever. I'm like, maybe I beat Roka one day. Who knows? Like maybe I just play a Schmodown match with Roka when he's retired, and that's the case. I don't know, but it does make me wonder for you. I guess who, kind of coming off the Ethan note, who do we feel like is the person who should have like that presence to him but doesn't? Outside of Oyama, like Oyama's got like controversy to him. That's his presence.
You guys know like who should have
like based on their performance, like being really good players. Who are they? Just like honestly not very threatening players though.
Who am I gonna turn? I think.
That's a good question, Dylan.
Yeah.
Deep brain questions here, guys.
Yeah, that's a good one. Who should have more of a presence? Man, that's a good question. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Janine. Like Janine, I feel like the total underrated player. She's super smart and really knowledgeable all around. I really do like her presence. I wish that she was around more often in the Schmodown. I can't wait to see her in teams with Time Machine. That's going to be great. I absolutely believe that Time Machine is going to fucking dominate that bracket. I think they're going to do great. I think that her and Ethan are very well-rounded together. and I fucking love a Janine over here. So I really am gonna say Janine on that answer.
I guess then actually I would also say Stacy. I would say Stacy
Yeah.
because I just every time she has a match, I just forget like how awesome she is in terms of like a presence. I mean, she's a pretty solid player trivia wise, but just I mean, like she's really funny, she's really entertaining, and it's very sporadic when we see her at the desk. So I think probably even Stacy would be another. I would enjoy see more Stacy actually. Yeah.
Stacy the bracket buster herself every single damn time. Like, Paul, who do you got as a completely underrated? Not underrated, but underpresenced character, I guess.
Well, Janine is definitely up on my list too. I gotta mention Rachel Silvestrini as she's starting to get a little more known. She's like king of the almost. She's like getting really close in a hell of a match with Roca, and I feel like she just needs a little more time, a little practice. She can get over as well. Maybe she could do really well in teams. I think not maybe the team she's on now. I'm sorry, Devin. I think Rachel with a better partner could really make her presence known. So
that's fine.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Haley and Kaylin. You know, like I'm sorry, man. Like, look, Haley, you gotta make that break. I'm sorry. Like, I want nothing but the best for you, but like, I know that's probably your buddy, your friend, and oof, yeah.
Do you think Haley and Rachel would make a good team?
No.
They said the same marks.
Because I think they're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not. I mean, I think they have probably a little bit more different specialties, if you will. But I would. If I were to team up Haley with somebody, I don't know off the top of my head, but it would be great. I don't know. Actually, damn, I don't know. I got to think about that.
You know, somebody on a totally throw that I know he goes even on the radar, even amongst the underrated discussions, is Eric Zipper. I'm putting him in there. Like, I think so much part of that has to do with character work as well, because he does have this like wimpy, whiny like kid that gone like thing mentality with him as well. But Zipper is surprisingly good. Like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there, but there are some matches he comes up and he's like, I'm not gonna look so much at Inner Geekdom, like he's been touch and go on IG.
Yeah.
But like, in the singles one, like he's really just come in and just like swung in. I'm just like, damn, look at Zipper knowing how to play. Like, even whenever it was World's Finest was their team. Like, there were some runs on there that was just totally impressive. Elliot Dewberry coming in on there was sorry on that. Elliot's actually surprisingly good as well. I'm not going to give any spoilers on the match for Wildberries versus Late to the Party, but he plays pretty well in that match, to say the least. Yeah, Zipper, totally underrated. I'm going to put Zipper in there. I love that guy. He's a gentleman.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
I don't know about underrated, but I do want to see also more of Liz Shannon Miller. Mm-hmm. I think she has the potential to be really good. I haven't seen enough of her yet, but she's definitely someone to, I think, watch if we get more time with her. Well, we're seeing with Ben soon. So
Liz really looks like the kind of person who needs to figure out the game still.
Yes,
like,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like the knowledge is there.
Right.
You know who I want to see do a singles match?
Who's that?
Is Tom.
Yes.
Oh,
from
Looney
Bin.
Yeah,
I love Video Drew. I love Video Drew, and I think that Looney Bin is a great thing. I would love to see Tom just on his own and see how far he can go against somebody.
One match,
absolutely.
He has a presence to him. Like, I think he's a scary competitor off just one match, and maybe that's one match hype. But I'm giving it to him on that one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like them together.
Yeah.
I have a little segment I want to call This or That. I'm gonna shoot that to you now. These are gonna be quick hits for our guest to answer.
Okay.
You can answer them however you want. There's no real rules because I don't like rules. So it's basically who you prefer, who you like. However you want to answer it, you can answer it. You can either expound on it if you want, or you can just say it and go. So
okay. All
let's go with it. The first question I have is James Spence or a gaping chest wound?
Gaping chest wound for sure. Yeah. and I don't feel like I need to expound on that. I don't think so. I think it pretty much speaks for itself. Yeah.
Frank gets a winning point. That's a point for Frank right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a more serious question. Shire Wolves or Patriots?
Dude, it's a pretty easy question. Shirewolves. Like, and I'll expand on that a little bit.
Go ahead.
And maybe it's a little unfair towards the Patriots, given the fact that they played some pretty scrubby teams in the beginning, and that was a different kind of league. However, their knowledge is nowhere near Clark and Rachel's as a team, and their knowledge was nowhere near what Sam's and Drew's was in that Ironman match. That was evident. Like, when that Ironman match was announced between Patriots and Above the Line, I'll be honest, I was pretty bummed because I was like, well, Above the Line's going to win that. Because there's no Snyder and JTE. Yes, they're good at the game. And they had a lot of things kind of break their way, or they were able to take advantage of things that were kind of maybe going their way, but then kind of willed it. And they're great for that reason. And I can't take away a 9-0 run. It's pretty insane. However you look at it, because they did play some pretty stiff competition towards the end of that run for sure. I mean, obviously they beat Above the Line the first time they played them. They took down Wolves of Steel. MODOK at that point was a pretty contentious team, and it was a tight match, which they should have won. Again, Patriots should have lost against Trek, but because of that Ava thing, whatever, that Inman was involved with that question, that turned everything around. So they had things go their way, and you have to have stuff like that if you're going to be, one of these teams that goes on a 9-0 run. You have to have some favorable breaks go your way, and that's not to take away anything from Jeff or JTE, because you might have breaks go your way, but you have to be good enough to take advantage of them. But with all that even said, the Shirewolves are just they were very good with strategy. They knew what they wanted to do. Very knowledgeable all the way around. Rachel was one of, if not the best all-around player the game has ever seen. Clark was instrumental in kind of bringing Rachel along. I'm sure some other people obviously were helping her, but Clark, being a teammate, understood kind of how she could help Rachel in certain aspects of the game. But I just think Shirewolves all day over the Patriots. It's not even a thing I have to think about hard.
Okay.
Very chronic with the inside baseball tip here. Snyder even says himself that the league was easier when the Patriots were on, and that's something I've said multiple times on anytime we're commenting on the team league now. The team league got destroyed and put together in the best way possible, but the way it leveled up is such a different league. Like, the Patriots could not do what they did then in this current league at all. At best, they have a good run through the Ultimate Teams League, but there's no way they retain the title that many times over and over again. Like that, it is
probably not
their feat at this point of where the league has gotten to.
Yep.
I'll improv here. That's a good question. Totally wasted drunk match. Wild Berries or Patriots?
Oof. Well,
especially because,
yeah,
something would be so bad.
That's true. That would be true.
Okay.
Oh, man.
I do have a few more we can get to. How about, Houston or New York?
Wow, you guys are mean. God damn.
I was at both. It's okay. So I moved away. It's okay.
I have to say New York. It's actually kind of not fair for me to say, because I was never actually in Houston for the Schmodown. What was it? South Texas or whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Houston is not South Texas. Hold on. Houston is not South.
That's what I'm saying. So I can't actually say whether or not I like Houston or not, because I actually never went to Houston. So by default, my answer is New York.
That's a nice, safe way of getting out of it. I like how you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Texas
more
forever.
quick
Texas City. Texas City, that's
what it was. Okay. A few more quick ones. Roxy or Kaiser?
What's the question again?
Roxy or Kaiser?
In terms of
anything. You can go any way you want.
What name do I like better?
Okay, manager of the year. Fine.
Manager of the year. I said this on the rundown too. I have to give it slightly to Roxy. I have to give it slightly to Roxy, and it's not by a lot. Like, it's the thinnest of margins, by like a nanometer, whatever you want to call it. Like, barely, but I got to give it to her just because there's no way Snyder gets to sudden death if he doesn't have Roxy in his corner. There's just no absolute way. And that's obviously an opinion and it's not fact, but I just feel like it's a fact.
It's a shared opinion because I believe
Yeah.
that absolutely 100%. And I think that that's why I think Roxy is more deserving of Manager of the Year because she actually motivates her players and she's there to pump them up and she's there for them. Like Jeff Snyder is notorious for giving up during matches. We've all seen it happen before. And Roxy was there to really help. And Jeff Snyder was really vocal about that, about how much help Roxy has been. So I think it's a no-brainer, at least in my opinion. Roxy Stryer for Manager of the Year.
I mean,
award.
if the season ended today, then yes, she's not going to hold on to that lead that I have for her just because things are happening in teams and singles and spectacular is going to happen. I mean, if Odd Couple wins the tournament and wins the spectacular,
She might.
Yeah.
That would probably put her over, but it's hard because I hate the idea that how we judge Manager of the Year so far, because the running idea is, okay, the manager is only as good as their team's are like successes doing or their faction's successes. And right now, sure, there's a fair argument to say that Grace and Ken are probably on top with Mike's run currently, but then I'm like, how much of that do you really contribute to Mike and how much do you really contribute to the managers? Like the truth, the struggle behind like my thought process on this is the truth is we'll never really understand who the best manager is because we don't see all that behind the scenes stuff. It is literally behind the scenes for a reason. So I won't be able to say, sure, when this match was going on, Roxy came in and she really helped calm him down. On that side, I actually really give it to Roxy. But, behind the scenes, that Kaiser could be literally like in an actual dungeon with Smets and being like studying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week or something like that. And I would never know him better other than him just telling us that. But it's that stuff we don't see is the stuff that I think that really matters.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm just got to be like, all right, well, their team's doing better, so I guess I pick this person for it. So I have a love-hate relationship with the Manager of the Year one. But I'll give it to Roxy for right now because everybody's saying Roxy, and I feel it.
I would say I agree with
Hot
that.
cake, Dylan, hot cake.
Is that I feel that Roxy's done more managing, Kaiser's been more of a mouthpiece, which is not necessarily a bad thing at all. I mean, but I think that as far as pure Manager of the Year, so far, what I've seen is Roxy. But I have.
Yeah, I think that's why. I think that's why it's important to show up as a manager and have a presence with your competitors and your players because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know who's helping who or what's going on or how much of what the managers are doing. So I do think on that point that's why Kaiser's so good on the fucking mic and listening to Kaiser. That's why so many people have Kaiser as Manager of the Year because of his mic skills and because he's there showing up at matches. And even though he wasn't in New York, he still made a point to have a video on there and have all of that stuff. And he's always there and always a hype man for every single match that anyone in the dungeon is a part of. So I think it's important for that also to have that mic skill. Kaiser does it, man.
What'd be interesting is
I respect Franco's take. Side note, real quick.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And I'm curious. I don't. So if you look at what was it last year's awards, Emma won Manager of the Year, right?
Yeah.
But Sam Levine won Player of the Year, right? Now, Sam Levine and like Drew McWeeny, they didn't have a manager, but Sharbles did get Team of the Year. So let's say if Mike wins Player of the Year, would it make sense that Ken and Gray should win Manager of the Year? And like that's do you know what I'm saying? Like because we're gonna find out Manager of the Year before we find out Player of the Year. So if Grace and Ken win Manager of the Year, well then you got to be like, well, why is that the reason? Well, it's Mike Kalinowski, so he's probably gonna win Player of the Year at the end of these award things, right? So it's gonna be interesting because if Paul holds on to the title, he could still be Player of the Year because if he goes 7-0 as a rookie, and 7-0 would be tied for the longest winning streak of all time in the singles division.
Right.
And like, how do you ignore that? But at the same time, you can because let's say he maybe they win like one match in the teams league, but Mike, they defend against Founding Fathers, and then let's say he goes, he had a title shot or close to a title shot in singles, and he did all this other stuff in 2-3 leagues, 2 other leagues. It's a lot of it. It honestly comes down to fans.
It's the popularity contest.
Popularity contest. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes, popularity contest.
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to, and it's whose fan base is more vocal. I don't know there's no difference between, and it's kind of a shitty thing to say, but there's no difference really between the Showdown Awards and the VMAs. Like,
whoa, hold on. As future not VMA, definitely Showdown Award winners, I take offense.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's fans just voting for who they like the best, not necessarily that they are the best, but it helps that you like them the best because they are somewhat the best at what they do. So there is that correlation, but really, if it was and it's okay because it shouldn't be a stat thing where it's like you have the most wins, you automatically team of the year or player of the year. There's going to be some favorability, and people will take into account character work and all that stuff. So, and that's all fine and good, but I hope anyone who's nominated has at least played the whole year or didn't quit halfway through. So, no, I'm not salty that Sam won Player of the Year last year and should have been Rachel. Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Shots fired again.
That's okay. Whatever.
All right. Speaking of awards, I got four more of these.
Okay.
Speaking of the awards, call to action or dedicated to whatever they are.
Yeah, I don't know those guys either. So you guys win. You guys are gonna win it. No, I said this earlier before we got on here. I said if you guys don't win, then your own people have failed you.
True.
That's all I got to say.
So
I'm putting the pressure. I'm putting the pressure on you.
That's why we have at least 10 people who are a part of our podcast.
Right.
So we cover every area that we possibly can.
Very good strategy.
So, Dinner Fanatics definitely give us a run for our money.
But Chris, we're not a rivalry with you. I don't want to trash you guys.
I was about to say you guys are in our channel. We actually really enjoy your guys' company. But
yes.
For the sake of the show and showmanship, get fucked. It's the call to action. 100%. So much of it. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, we have 10 members currently. We will just keep recruiting until we are the only podcast or all of them.
More people on call to action than actually like in the audience.
Yeah, we're at 10 members now. We're looking for 100 members at any given point. We can just sit there.
Yeah, that's
a 24/7 network at all times. You can just go onto the we're just talking shit at something or another.
This is here's my last question. This is personally for me and Frank. What happens first, Frank? The Bears getting a passing touchdown this year, or Roka having a match without him complaining about something?
Oh wow! Jesus, that's pretty good.
Wow.
Hopefully the Bears get a passing touchdown.
Hopefully next week. We'll find out though, won't we? Okay. One question we always ask, we have to ask everybody, team guy or team trader?
I'm Team Bateman. I'm Bateman.
All right. Brad, it was nice having you on the show.
Okay, everybody.
Good luck getting that award, guys.
All right, well, let's just stay on just because of that. We'll just stay on. Just once.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, the final question I have then is, it's a deep one now. Is it Mike Kalinowski or Flash Gordon?
Flash! Mr. Sam Jones! And like that, he's gone.
That's my favorite video. I love that
My
video.
favorite.
Oh my god.
So good.
Janine, if you're still in chat, please come into your match with that. I've heard that suggestion before. It wasn't me to think of it originally. Please let that
like
be.
Just bust out your phone, put it on the desk, and just have it looping. Like, just put your phone right down in front of you and have it looping. Yeah.
It's only a tiny bit of a shame that it's stuck in Kevin Spacey in that, but just a tiny bit.
Your Chronic is in the chat. He said he has the gift, so maybe he can use it in the promo. I would.
So good. I love it. Real quick, Paul.
Oh, goodness.
Let me snag this question from Nerd Chronic himself.
Go ahead. I'm good. I'm done with my segment now. So.
This is less so to Frank, but I'm sure he's going to be there. If and when we are nominated and win, who's coming out to the awards? I literally am not going to Spectacular or any other of the live events this year because I'm going to the awards.
Exactly.
So I'm going to be there, live or die. And if we don't win, I'm burning the place down because I'm going to be so mad that I saved all that money and then didn't go to Spectacular instead. Paul, Danny, what about you guys?
I'm unfortunately not going to be able to. Unfortunately, I got a couple California trips. I'm heading out. I am planning to come to California next summer if everything goes out for Schmoedown taping and Action Movie Anatomy taping and the whole rip around there. But I'm not going to be able to make it out. But I will be there in spirit, and hopefully somebody will give me a FaceTime call or something, and we'll be all good.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely be there, especially because Call to Action has been something that I've been a part of for a very long time, and super grateful for everything that this podcast has grown into and what it's become. And it's been nuts about how hard we've been working for this past year.
Lost hair, girl. Look at all that.
Yeah, man, we've all been working really hard, really trying to get this thing into something that people are into. We're really excited that people are watching our content and that people are a part of this. So I will absolutely be there for the awards, because I have said it many times, and I'm just preparing everyone. If we do not win the award, I am 100% pulling a Kanye. You can't stop me.
Yeah.
We've worked very hard.
That's good.
The running joke I've had the entire time has been, I'm like, guys, we did not sell out this podcast to not win this award this year. God damn it, we will burn the whole thing to the No, I definitely
Absolutely.
You, James, a couple other of like the OG Call to Action ones before. Oh, we I guess we just defined it as pre me and Alex joining and post me and Alex joining at this point.
Yeah, that's basically the timeline.
Right. Where it went from infamy to act like to fame or anything. And that's not just strictly me or Alex at all. I'm not gonna jerk myself off that much. But I think just since that, like, the whole crew really came together to make it so much more what we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to see a grown man cry on stage, this man right here crying on stage while trying to be a heel, tune in to awards. Because I promise you.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. Alex and Dylan and Kelsey and Billy and Paul and everyone who's been an addition to the podcast compared to the OG cast of me, Melissa, James, and Danny. We love you all so much. Nat, how can I forget my sweet baby Nat? I love my Nat.
Baby Nat, sweet jacked Nat. God.
Yeah. This sounds like a great place to wrap it up, guys. Do y'all have anything else to ask Frank before we head out?
You're asking us. I think you're asking chat for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, I was looking at chat there.
Yeah, anyone? Yes, exactly.
Ooh.
So if you guys got any questions, go ahead and do that while we do that.
I got a question.
I just want to go ahead and plug. Go for it,
I got
Paul.
a question, Frank. Now, you did your traveling earlier in the year to Hawaii. Is there a place that you haven't been to yet that you really, really want to go to?
I think I want to go to like Japan or like somewhere like in Asia, over that part of the world. That'd be fun, like Thailand or Philippines or something like that. Yeah, Korea.
It's dirt cheap right now, buddy. You can go whenever you want. You don't want to.
I don't know about maybe Philippines, but yeah, definitely like China or like South Korea or something like that. Or not China, but Japan, South Korea. Yeah, I guess Japan. Sure, why not?
That'd be cool. All right, I'm going to do it. Jeremiah's been bugging me to chat the whole time. I hate even giving him airtime for this, but he's been very persistent. So, oh, not that one. It slipped on me. Here we go.
Har. Okay.
That wasn't it.
Great question.
There we go. Are the Bears ever going to beat the Packers?
They beat them last year.
They did.
They split last year, and they'll split again this year.
All right. Hot take. Fuck you, Jeremiah. Fuck you. There we go. Brandon has a question.
Who does the ranking?
Who does the ranking? Because what the fuck?
I guess you should direct that question towards Mr. Christian Harloff. So, while you're ironing out his shirt, I guess you can file that complaint.
Wow.
Hot cake.
Hot take
right there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not knocking Brandon's ironing skills. They're some of the best I've ever seen, for sure.
All right, Frank. I got one real last quick question for you. Pick your Rushmore of Call to Action host.
Oh, that's deep.
At this point,
You already have an easy answer
That's on the
right here.
spot.
Well, I think I'm going to go Denuzo, Dylan, Danny, and that other person.
That's a great answer. I love
Right? Yeah. And that call to action person, yeah.
That one call to action person.
Yeah.
You're the next person to comment in, and you're a Call to Action podcast member. You get to be in the fourth. And you're Kelsey. That's you too, buddies. Go on, get in there.
Yeah.
All right. You even remember all of the crew. Sorry, I don't remember all of our crew. I won't blame Frank for bring our crew either.
Oh, I did actually forget Jarvie whenever I was naming names earlier. I did actually forget Jarvie. Jarvie is part of the new crew, the action call to action 2.0.
Yeah.
Our
We love
international-
Jarvie.
Our
Jarvie,
international
yes.
crew is Estonia.
We,
I've
we
said
are
many times-
international.
Who did I say? What did I say to Doman from Dedicated not too long ago? I said if Jarvie ever makes a separate like Reactor Schmodown show, we're all doomed. Like that's
The guy is hot. Let me tell you,
He's so
hot.
attractive. He's so pretty.
It's good to know that you guys really respect his knowledge and not just his looks.
It's true.
He's hot. He's got an accent. Damn it! How do you beat that?
We love a
He
Jarvie.
makes anything
yeah,
sound smart, I guess. Okay.
That's what it is. So.
Jarvie.
Oh wait, that's true.
Alrighty,
too.
y'all.
That's what Chris Adams is.
Woo!
Oh yeah, I'll put Belford.
Belford
in
is.
there.
Yeah, Belford's
Yeah,
Belford, yeah.
Belford is definitely.
He made the greatest
part
video of
of
all time. How can I not put him up there?
I will definitely give him that. The gift king, as they say. So, all right. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up. Anybody? Any last thoughts? Anybody? No. Okay. Where?
No, man. Thank you all so much for tuning in and hanging out with us on the second official Till to Action episode. This is going to be a new segment that Paul and I are going to be bringing to you every Sunday, late. Usually it's going to happen right after Ben and Andrew's stream on Sundays. So as soon as you're done watching those guys, make sure that you can head on over to the Call to Action podcast page on YouTube and check us out, because we will be here for Till to Action with a new guest every week with a rotating co-host of the Till to Action podcast. This is going to be a new segment. We hope you all enjoy it. We hope you like it. You can find me on Twitter at DannyJoy, DANIEEJOY. That's my new Twitter handle. Make sure you follow me there. If you interact with the Call to Action Facebook page, you're more than likely to talking to me, Danny, Nat, or Alex. You can find us there. Make sure you like and subscribe to that page. Make sure you like and subscribe to this YouTube channel right here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. Mr. Paul Denuzio, where can we find you, my bud?
Paul_Denuzio, spelled it Denuzio though. And you also find me at the Team Action Patreon. So join the Patreon. We got a lot of good stuff going on there. A lot of great tiers. Give us your money. Actually, give them your money. You can keep me employed. That's what you do. That's
Give your money.
People, we need your money. From Little Rascals. My favorite. Mr. Dylan Camacho, my sweet love, where can we find you?
Oh boy, you can catch me at Twitter at CAMACH Octopus. Don't pronounce that out loud. You'll summon a demon into your room or something weird. You can just, go ahead and follow me on that. I don't tweet too often. I'm trying to tweet more, guys. I promise. Just tag Schmodown Nashville at me, and then I'll probably go on a rant for a while. Speaking of, we also have t-shirts at TeePublic, another great place you can catch not only me, but everybody in our podcast. The Call to Action podcast is now selling sweet t-shirts. I'm actually not wearing it right now. I'm sorry. I'm plugging our stuff. You can also catch me on a recent episode of D2A of all places. I found that what their show is, it's dedicated to action. They have me on, and they have I enjoy. So finally figured that out. Thank God, that was bothering me.
Dedicated to action? That's amazing. That sounds like a really great channel. I can't wait to find out who those guys are.
I love that we've gotten so big that we have fan reactors to fan reactors. It's Inception.
That's amazing.
I love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I won't speak for the whole podcast, but Doman was pretty cool. We talked about Deftones. Nothing Schmodown really related there at all. But if you want to go, if you're a fan of Deftones, go check out that episode over on their channel. I couldn't take it and give it to ours. They wouldn't let me. Mm-hmm. Other than that, hashtag Schmodown Nashville, all that good stuff. Shout out to the whole chat. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. It is midnight and then some, and you guys hang out with us the entire time. Thank you so much. You can always find me here at the Call to Action podcast and all the Facebook groups. All of them.
Frank.
As Nerd Chronic says, where can we find more of this Frank guy?
Where do we find more of this Frank?
This is Frank guy.
Yeah.
This is Frank guy.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29. Showdown Rundown every Saturday on the MTS podcast feed and YouTube channel on Sunday now. I guess the video's going up. And yeah, check out, if you want, the cheat sheet on the Showdown Rundown Facebook page Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time. And that's about it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
As always.
Thank you so much for coming on, Frank. We really appreciate it. Sorry about that, Paul. We do it all the time here on the Call to Action podcast. You know us. We love to interrupt each other, and we love each other so much. But thank you so much, Frank, for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate everyone who's in the chat, all of that good stuff. You know where to find us. Paul, go.
Salute you. Have a good night, guys.
Oh, salute. Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah.